Hi, Nicholas Marseille from EE Platform. My question is, this morning it was spoken that 700 gigawatts of capacity is needed in Africa by 2040. My question is the 9,600 megawatts enough? If it isn't enough, how much more localization can we do in the country, because we now have more capacity, and how much further could that possibly bring the price down by?
Is 9,600 megawatts enough for South Africa? Clearly not. And I'm kind of looking back into the foreseeable future, beyond 2025. I think we should be doing a hell of a lot more in the gas space, renewable space, coal space, build a lot more coal, and then also a lot more nuclear. Probably 10, 20 gigawatts of nuclear would be suitable for South Africa. And then we're talking about getting a good strategy together for this country's future. And yeah, look, 700 gigawatts for Africa. I hope it's not all going to be coal, because then we're going to have another serious climate issue on this continent. So I hope when we're looking at 700 gigawatts for the rest of Africa that we do it sensibly, and we have a very good, healthy mix between the energy technologies that we have today.
Yeah, just from my perspective, what can't be underestimated is the massive socioeconomic spin-offs of this program that's going to benefit the youth, the unemployed, industries associated to the build of a nuclear megabuild project. And that is the major attraction as far as I'm concerned, because it's going to address the key fundamental objectives as far as our national development plan goes for South Africa. And no other catalyst, in my opinion, exists today that can achieve objectives that are outlined in there. So I would like to put out a challenge of even increasing the 9,600 megawatts to much more, based on the fact that we've got an aging coal fleet. We need to be independent as a country here in South Africa. Current capacity is sitting at around 38 to 40,000 megawatts. And as I mentioned earlier, probably our production sitting around 27. The old aging fleet is going to come offline, and it needs to be substituted with base load, and we cannot build additional coal.
9.6 gigawatt. You can have 25 answers, but the good one is the one provided by Shen. You have no more coal plant in 20 years from now. That means think a little bit. Do it now, not when it will be too late. The second thing also is you spoke about the 700 gigawatt. I also have this figure this morning, very interesting figure. Obviously 10 gigawatt is very small compared to 700 gigawatt. But another figure also, because coming from last year's discussion, Africa is spending $50 billion per year burning diesel. I mean, when you burn the diesel, you have nothing. Okay, you produce nothing. You have energy, but the year after you burn another $50 billion. Now do it in 10 years. It's $500 billion. I can guarantee you that Victor and myself, we can build a lot of nuclear plants for $500 billion.
Right.
Hello, Fiona Ford from the Financial Mail, and it's a couple of questions, if I may, to any members of the panel. The first one, there was a lot of talk this morning about the need for regional integration and often an Africa-wide vision for mega energy projects if the continent is to grow and if the energy challenges are to be overcome. And I'm wondering how the South African nuclear project would fit into such a vision.
I don't want to comment on the regional integration. I think as far as nuclear is concerned, we need to do it independently in South Africa, and that's my viewpoint.
Regional integration, yes, but not how you think it can be possible to do it. Why a country like Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, or Zimbabwe cannot do an offtake of electricity? I mean, take, in brackets, a share in the nuclear plant in South Africa. Luxembourg, Switzerland, has done it 30 years ago or 35 years ago in France. Okay? A part of the electricity produced by the nuclear plant in France are offtake by Switzerland and Luxembourg. Okay? Why you cannot do it in this area? What is the sense to build a nuclear plant in Namibia when they need 300 or 400 megawatt? It's a nonsense. I mean, yes, we can go to integration, regional integration, but it's not our purpose. It's a political one.
I just want to take up the regional issue from the back from FM. Africa's always spoken about regionalisation. You've got these power pools and so forth, but I don't think they've really been that successful. They're very difficult relationships to actually establish. Never mind power these grids. I think probably one of the biggest killers is the lack of power that you can put on the grid itself. You know, the idea of South Africa supplying the Southern African power pool is a little daft in today's time. We're trying to keep our own lights on, never mind looking after Southern Africa. But big block nuclear definitely needs a regionalized network. You know, a lot of these countries, they have small power. I think Kenya, you're looking at about 2,500 megawatts. You're looking at Nigeria with their 10, 15, 20,000 megawatts. They're quite small grids, and typically the rule of thumb is that your unit size shouldn't be bigger than 15% of your grid capacity. Anyway, that's where South Africa worked it a couple of years ago. So South Africa is the only grid in Africa today, maybe Egypt as well, but the only grid in Africa that can actually take on big block nuclear like 1,200 megawatt, 1,500, 1,600 megawatt power plants. However, for the rest of Africa, you've got your small modular reactors, which are now in the pipeline. They may be very attractive and interesting for Africa, but it also means that those African countries have to have an established nuclear industry, a nuclear regulator. You don't just go and build a nuclear plant and operate it like you do with a wind farm or a coal-fired plant. It does require a lot of preparation in legislature as well as in these regulatory environments.
The second question is in relation to China, and if any of you envisage that China could play a role in a future South African nuclear project. It does seem to be the missing figure throughout this Indaba so far, Chinese presence. And the last question to the gentleman on the far right, do you mind me asking you how old you are or what the age criteria is for the Young Professional Society?
Okay, thank you. In terms of my age, as been said by my mother and also the Home Affairs, I'm 32 years and 7 months, and then I don't know the hours, I've not counted. So in terms of that, we've got a criteria. We know when you refer to a young person, you need to refer to a young person as is globally referred to. We don't say a young person and then you say you are other ages that you might be thinking of.
Shane?
GP, I just want to help you out a little bit. I think in terms of the BBBW definition of youth, it needs to be under 37. So I think he's quite safe, just on that particular topic.
China, yes, China is one of the competitors. They are not there today, but is one of the competitors. We help them to build their industry. Huh? Just remember that the first reactor we built was just after Kobe. We built a reactor in China. We transferred the technology. Today they are building nuclear plants themselves, sometimes also with our support. And they like to keep our support.
China, why they're not here? China is certainly a formidable contender to the nuclear build program. They certainly are one of the players out there. As we've seen, they do operate in some of their own venues and agendas. We probably don't see enough of them at these type of functions, but that is something that is part of China's approach, you know.
Hi. My name's Dan Marks. I'm from African Energy. I think a lot of the issues going on from the lady's question before around transparency have really been around government, but particularly around the issue of planning. You have yourselves referenced the 9,600 megawatt figure several times. So the 9,600 megawatt figures from the 2010 Integrated Resource Plan. The updated plan used updated figures, and it came up with a recommendation that we should wait and see, and that nuclear should only be on the basis of known costs and only to a certain amount. This was rejected by Cabinet, and in general it's understood that it was rejected largely because of nuclear. Now, on the question of planning, the question is why this amount? You know, it's very hard for anyone to say, do we need it? Do we need this amount? And how much when there's no updated figure and there's no updated plans?
Okay.
And I was wondering what your view on having a procurement process, the biggest in South African history most likely, for a very large amount of power on the basis of figures that are now 6 years out of date.
The problem today is linked to South Africa process, which is very, 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 very slow. Okay? You consider it's not transparent. It's not because it's not transparent. I have never seen in my life the procurement process put in a newspaper in Europe. It's coming one day. And you have it and you answer. The problem is we are speaking too much in the country about something which is not there. When it will be there, we will answer.
RP 10 talking about 9,600 megawatts. What is this all about? We also built 9,600 megawatts of coal. Did anybody worry about that? Exactly. So these are sometimes figures that government throws up. They probably put it out there. We've built something like 17,000 megawatts, or building 17,000 megawatts of renewables. These are arbitrary figures. It's just an initiative to start a strategy for South Africa's energy requirements.
Hi, Peter Middleton from Mechanical Technology. Just a very, very quick one, and I'd like both Victor Polikarpov and Mr. Grenon to answer this. Do you believe that Rosatom is the preferred bidder for what's currently on the table?
Sir, were you around last week?
Well, to answer you, the questions about belief, I don't believe in anything. I believe in, I rather be very pragmatic and very practical and have a look at the choice of the government. But the fact that Rosatom today is building 43 reactors in the world and has the most reference technology in the world, 1,400 reactor years of operational technology, speaks for the fact that what you call belief transforms into a feeling that we're humbly the best.
Yes, we are sure that they are the preferred supplier. It's why we are there. Do you think that we will have go to the exhibition, a nice booth today, because we think that we will lose? No, everybody, we are on all the same line. We are competitors everywhere in the world. If you think you have no chance, you are not coming. And I think if Rosatom was not there, I will think that they have no chance. If we are not there, the French are not there, he will think that we have no chance. It will be a competition.